How you doing, YouTube? Matt Massa Beer Reviews, back with a beer. Perfectly honest with you, I have no idea how I have not reviewed this before. And that is Kulmbacher. This is their Pilsner, man. This is their Edelherb Pils, legendary Kulmbacher Pils. Edelherb ist das Erst Kulmbacher Pils. I can't read that, and my accent is horrible, so I will stop instead of ruining your ears. I've had this beer several times. I've had this beer in sessions, more specifically with the Shelton Brothers. Now semi-defunct Shelton Brothers. They still exist, but in a different format and under different ownership, I believe, probably at this point, if not shortly. This is the beer they kind of love. If you're unfamiliar with the Shelton Brothers, they are a kind of importer of beer into the United States, and they do all kinds of fancy pants stuff. From Cantillon, Dre Fontaine, to a whole bunch of big, huge breweries. They actually distribute a lot for little breweries also. And, man, they have some great beers. And one of my favorite beers of all time is Kulmbacher Eisbock. But this is the beer that Joel and Dan and those guys really kind of hung their hat on, that they really enjoyed personally. And I just have no idea why I haven't drank one of these yet. Or reviewed one of these yet. So we're going to do it. Saw it today, so I had to buy it. So let's dive into this sucker, see what it's got. So yeah. We're talking about a relatively unfiltered Pils. And by that I mean I shook it up a little bit, so there's a bit of particulate going to be in this sucker. It should not be that way, but I pour horribly. So we'll see what's what. Look at that, man. I mean, you can see that bit of particulate, a little bit of yeast cake kind of floating around there. No big deal. Does not bother me a skosh. Front of this label, top of this label, is just all in Bavarian, I believe. German, Bavarian, something along that. That's where beer comes from, Bavaria. And on the back, you have their Shelton Brothers, 4.9%. The American tag they need to put on here to be sold in the United States. And it has a number on here, 30154121. So I don't know what their dating code is on these, but I assume somewhere in 21 means 21. So maybe it was born on 21. No idea. So we're going to dive into it. Classic labeling. I mean, it looks absolutely beautiful. As far as the beer goes, it's clear. It's got a bit of particulate floating around in it, but if I poured it, settled it, kind of didn't let all that come out, it would be a pinpoint, perfectly clear kind of Pilsner. Head is not sticking around all that much, but it's still kind of floating around the edges there because it's got that rich golden color with that little bit of soft particulate floating around it. Even when I give it a quick swirl, it kind of clears up, as you can see. So it looks all part of the Pilsner. Let's get a nose. I mean, the Pilsner malt here is really what drives this beer. Just this nice, sweet, not overly aggressive Pilsner malt. The ever so slightest bit of bittering in there. Maybe a little bit of kind of like a cantaloupe-y kind of thing, a little melon characteristic. Done and done. It's very crisp, very clean. Everything here is subtle with that malt kind of leading the way. Even that is subtle, but it's the biggest kind of expressor in the whole beer. So let's dive in. Cheers. And it's delicious. It's heavier than you'd expect from kind of a Czech Pils or something a little bit snappier. There's a bit of heft to it. It doesn't ruin its drinkability, but you wouldn't kind of call this what today's kids would call a crispy boy, let's put it that way. Still drinkable, has a nice heft to it. There is a pop bittering on that, but nothing as aggressive like a Czech Pils or something like that. The malt is still kind of the star of the show here. This nice, sweet, and slightly beefed up, getting towards Vienna level kind of maltiness on this beer. And it's really just well done, tasty, drinkable beer. It's one of those beers that's kind of like a little bit, hits a little bit above its weight class as far as vibrancy and as far as aggressiveness goes. But it's so clean and clear and well made and wants to be crisp, but it just has that heft that keeps from being that. But it is still just a lager through and through, just their interpretation of a lager, which is probably just a little bit more beefier version than your classic kind of Euro lager or something like that. It just comes off as a more like a dinner beer, like a table beer kind for me. I know that when I say that, people are going to be like, table beer is Belgian, it's a yeast driven thing, but there's something about this that kind of makes me want to eat food. I mean, Pilsner kind of does that, but this one just has a little bit more beefiness to it, to where I think it can hold up to a couple different things. Very tasty stuff. From a brewery that, honestly, I really enjoy what they do. Like I said, the Kulmbacher Eisbach is one of my favorite beers of all time. And some of their other offerings are quite nice. Like I said, I've had this so many times, I just don't know why I ever reviewed it, and I'm glad I did. So I can sit here and tell you, I love it. I knew I was going to love it when I go into it. It's one of those beers that you've drank so many that you're going to dig. But it's so unique in of itself, and how it's a little bit heftier, and how that malt kind of drives the car here in a very, very pronounced way, that it kind of separates itself a little bit more from Pilsners in and around the region that this beer comes from. Very tasty stuff. Is this one of the better Pilsners I've had? It's like, yes. Mount Rushmore status? I don't know. I might keep it out, but it's close. It's eking towards the top. I just really enjoy this beer. It's fantastic. I'll never turn it away. Value and availability, $13 for a 6-pack, and leave you with, if you like what we like this beer. If you like Pilsner, you like Vienna lagers, you want something in between there. That's kind of what you're getting here. And if you like your malts to really drive the car in your Pilsner, as opposed to a nice malt base, but that snappier kind of hoppiness, while the hoppiness is here, it's more of a companion rather than the driver of the car. So if that's what you dig, you will dig this. So there you go. Reviewing the books. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Down there if you want to talk about it. Massive Beers if you want to check me out doing the social media stuff. Beer Massif if you want to check me out doing the whole podcasting thing. And hopefully you guys enjoyed our review. Hopefully you're enjoying a little Kulmbacher right now. Hope we'll see you next time. Cheers.